Good afternoon. Some of you may not have realized, but I skipped a day this week. Yesterday, the video didn't get on Facebook, so I had to put it on. I thought, I'll just skip to this day and go on and do it tomorrow. And the reason was I wasn't feeling very good yesterday, but I'm feeling a lot better today, and I'm going to try to keep on track from now on and make sure it goes up, because I didn't get it up until the next day. So we're going to go from back in Luke chapter 2 and start in verse 36 today. Granny shares the Bible. Verse 36 says, "And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Aser, or Asher. She was of a great age and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity." So she was married for 7 years after she had gotten old enough to marry, which maybe, let's just say it was as young as 14. She'd been 21, and she was a widow of about 84 years. So 84 years, her husband had died 84 years ago. So 21 and 84 means she was 105. Could have been. Probably around that age. 84 and 16 maybe when she got married, and 7. Let's say 14 or 15. Let's say 14 she got married. That had been 21, and then 84 years. So it'd be 105. She was of a great age. So even if she got married younger, she'd still be a pretty great age, around 100. So she departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day. So she wasn't living for herself. She was praying and seeking God, fastings and prayers night and day. She was totally giving herself to the Lord. And her name was Anna. I wonder what the name Anna means. Let's look and see. I have our great friend in the church, Sister Annie. Her name really is Anna. We call her Annie, but her name really is Anna. And we'll see what her name Anna means if he's got it back here. Anna, gracious, of course. Gracious means full of grace. Anna, gracious. So she was of a great age, and she departed not from the temple. She just stayed there. Served God with fastings and prayers night and day. His house was made as a house of prayer. They used it for the money changers and things like that. But God wanted his temple to be just what Anna was making it, a house of prayer. And she, coming in that instant, gave thanks likewise unto the Lord, and spake of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem. So she came in right when Simeon was blessing Mary, saying, "Behold, this child is set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel, and for a sign which shall be spoken against. Yea, a sword shall pierce through thy own soul also, and the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed." So he was telling what was going to happen because of Jesus coming. He was going to reveal our thoughts, the thoughts of our hearts. He was going to do that, and even Mary was going to have that happen to her. If somebody comes around and says, "Oh, Mary was just as holy as Jesus," Mary was one of them that it says all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So Mary she wasn't a perpetual virgin, and she wasn't like Jesus was, and sinless. She wasn't. She had an earthly mama and daddy. Jesus had God the Father and the Holy Ghost coming upon Mary and causing that holy thing to be born of her. And that was different than what happened with Mary. So when Anna came in, and she came in that instant, she gave thanks, for she saw the Lord had come. Likewise unto the Lord, and spake of him, talked about Jesus, baby Jesus coming, to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem, that looked to be bought back. Redemption means that you are bought back. You sold yourself unto sin. You sold yourself unto being lost away from God. But God wants to buy you back. He wants to get you back by buying you back. And what's he going to use for the redemption price? The blood of his Son. He sent his Son to be our redemption price. And so she spoke of Jesus to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem. And that's where they were, right there in the heart of where the capital of the God's country, right there, Jerusalem. And when they had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned into Galilee to their own city Nazareth. So Mary and Joseph took Jesus home to their city of Nazareth. Now, this story in Luke does not talk about when they had to go down into Egypt, does it? It doesn't. And when you turn back over into Matthew chapter 2, you learn that they had moved into a house after the stable. They were still in Bethlehem, and they had moved into a house because the wise men came searching for the child. And it says, and when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. So they had moved into a house, and I don't know if they were living in that house when they went to the temple, which they had gone after the days, when the days of her purification. Let's look at what days those were. Let's look at, in 22, the reference is Leviticus 12 and 2. We looked back there once. Let's look at it again. Let's look at Leviticus 12 and 2. Okay. All right. 12 and 2 says, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man-child, she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of her separation, for her infirmity shall she be unclean. The 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 33 days. So it's about 40 days, 7 days, and then 33. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. So it was about 40 days when she came into the temple. So it seems that Joseph had found them a house that was outside of the stable and got them in the house. The wise men had come and worshiped baby Jesus, maybe after the days of her purifying, because so I don't know if they would have, if the Lord would have sent them before that. But that's after that, when it was the time for them to present him to the Lord, brought him to the Lord to present him to the Lord. When it was time to do that, then they had come, and that's when they had met Simeon, and that's when they had met Anna. And then perhaps they went back to that house, and that's when the wise men came. And the wise men, the angel told, let's go back to it, what happened with Joseph after the wise men came. We want to say it right. And Matthew, okay, chapter 2, we kind of fit it all together. Matthew chapter 2, Okay? And they came, and when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. This is verse 11 in chapter 2, where they presented their gifts. Then verse 12, God warned them not to go back to Herod. Then verse 13, and when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Then he arose and took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. So all that happened in the temple, and then it says, and when they had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned into Galilee to their own city Nazareth. So that in the middle of verse 39 seems to be all that happened about them going down to Egypt. It doesn't tell it, but it had to happen right in there after they took him to the temple, and after they met Simeon and Anna, and when they returned from doing that, they did it according to the law of the Lord. Then it says they returned into Galilee to their own city Nazareth, and they did, but it would have been by the way of Egypt, because they had to go down to Egypt to avoid Herod killing him. And it says, but when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither, notwithstanding being warned of God in a dream. He turned aside into the parts of Galilee, and he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets. He shall be called a Nazarene. So Jesus ended up back in the same town that Mary was from and Joseph was from, in Nazareth. See, let's go back to Luke chapter 1, and it talks about him meeting the angel Gabriel coming into a city of Galilee named Nazareth, and that's where he met Mary. And if we look back in Matthew, I should hold my hand there, shouldn't I? Matthew chapter 1, and we go back to where Joseph is. Let's see where it says he is. Matthew 1. Okay. In Matthew chapter 1, she was espoused to Joseph. It doesn't say where Joseph was living. It doesn't say where he was living. I know that he was espoused to Mary, so surely they were living close together, close to each other. And so Mary and Joseph were married, but he knew her not until her firstborn was born. So they were from Nazareth. And when it says in Luke chapter 2 that they went to Nazareth, it says to their own city Nazareth. So that tells us that Joseph also was from Nazareth. And when they had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned into Galilee to their own city Nazareth. But we all know, by knowing what it says in Matthew, that they had to go by way of Egypt to avoid Herod. And they stayed there until Herod died. And then they came back and went to Nazareth. So I don't know all about why the Bible does this sometimes, but it does. It allows, like this verse, let's just read it. And when they had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned into Galilee to their own city Nazareth. Okay? It doesn't sound like there's anything else that's going on, does it? But the Lord also gives us the book of Matthew so that we will know that something else did go on. And though it's true they returned into Galilee to their own city Nazareth, it is true that happened, But they had to go by way of Egypt and by way of running away from Herod. And then they returned to Nazareth. I'm going to stop right there because tomorrow we get to do one of my favorite places in the Bible. It's about Jesus when he was a child, when he was a boy. Okay, so we'll come back to that tomorrow. God bless you.